Bajram Gecaj. He is the head of the Kosovo Crisis Committee. Mr. Gecaj, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Let me start by asking you about some of the breaking news that we've heard today. And this report has not been confirmed, but it continues to come in that it's possible a NATO missile or several NATO rockets hit a convoy of refugees in Kosovo, maybe killing some 70 people. First of all, some people are raising questions about whether or not these refugees are being used as a human shield. What do you think?
Well, what I would say is that whatever comes from Serbia, it has to be doubtful. The only war they can wage against NATO is propaganda war and the war against civilians. So that's what Serbians are doing all the time.
But the danger, the danger of having a NATO attack, if I might interrupt for just a second, is that while there are refugees on the ground, that they may be hit by NATO bombs. Is the NATO air attack worth it, in your opinion, or not?
No. When we invited NATO to commit airstrikes there in Kosovo, we knew the risk, but we were being killed on a daily basis anyway without NATO. What NATO is doing there is the most humane act of that alliance in their history, and we do understand that some casualties, we might have some casualties. That is regrettable. I don't think that that's NATO's intentions, but accidents happen all the time. I mean, accidents happen in everyday life anyway. What we have here is NATO trying to avoid as much as possible the so-called collateral damage or civilian casualties, but at the same side we have the genocidal policies of Serbia trying to kill as much as possible. And so that's what's being confronted in here.
And what we also have today are reports that Germany has a peace plan, an extensive peace plan, we're told, that they've been working on for some time, trying to come up with a solution to this crisis. What do you think about the prospects for peace now? And do you think that some members of the NATO alliance have just had enough of the bombing?
Well, what we think is that we have been cooperative all the time with the international community. We have gone to Rambouillet and signed the agreement. That agreement now should be probably taken as a basis of any accord, but we cannot forget that after the Rambouillet agreement, a genocide was committed against my people, and the circumstances are totally different. We believe that all Serbian forces have to withdraw for any civilians to dare to come back there, and international protectorate being put on Kosovo, and then we will see what happens in future after we have developed democratic institutions. But I don't see any prospect of Kosovo remaining under any sovereignty of Serbia or Yugoslavia after what has happened now in Kosovo.
Does it concern you that the Germans have this peace plan, from what you've heard of it so far, that maybe either Slobodan Milosevic or members of the NATO alliance are beginning to back down, beginning to crack?
I don't think so. I don't think NATO is beginning to crack. They are trying to find a peaceful solution, as they tried before the airstrikes have begun. We must not forget that airstrikes there are not to revenge against Serbians there, but they are there to stop the killings and to stop the massacre and bring a peaceful solution to Kosovo. And all these attempts to bring the peace there are welcomed. But what we say, what Albanians say, if anybody wants those refugees to go back to their homes, all the Serbian troops, the troops who were involved in a genocide against them, have to totally withdraw from there. There's no way that any troops can remain now in Kosovo for those people to feel safe to go back. If any troops remain there, I believe that even those people who are still in Kosovo, those people would go back as well, because that would have been seen as a failure by NATO and as a victory for Milosevic. Milosevic, at this time, he has to capitulate. There's no compromise with war criminals like him.
The current military mission, some say, could last for months. And in the meantime, as we mentioned at the top, hundreds of thousands of refugees in Albania, Macedonia, Montenegro. How long can these people hold out the hope that they're going to go back home?
The hope will be there. You see, we have been suffering for 10 years now. 1989 Serbian regime abolished our autonomy. Since then, they destroyed in Kosovo everything what was Albanian. The policy of ethnic cleansing has not started last year. It has started long time ago. From 1989 to 1998, some 500,000 Albanians left Kosovo, and we used to call it quiet ethnic cleansing in comparison with what is going now in Kosovo. So we have been used in suffering. We know that for Kosovo issue to be resolved, we will have to hold on a bit longer, but we hope that now, as we have the all civilized nation backing us, that solution will come very quickly, and we will be able to go back and rebuild our lives. We are a very hard-working nation, and with the help of international community, we will rebuild our lives.
Let me get this clear. You were saying that you want Slobodan Milosevic and his forces out, and you want a democratic government in Kosovo, and you want some sort of international peacekeeping force, as has been proposed by NATO. Is that it? Is that enough?
Yes, Kosovo has to be put under international protectorate, then probably under the supervision of OSCE. We would organize free elections, organize our lives, our institutions, democratic institutions, and then when we have our elected government, we could proceed for the future status. After Kosovo has been rebuilt, people had gone back, but I do not see any prospect of Kosovo anymore remaining under the sovereignty of Serbia or rump Yugoslavia.
Bajram Gecaj with the Kosovo Crisis Committee. Bajram, thank you very much for being with us today.